Alright, I took in on New City now, made back the pocket money plus more. Nice, bro. Really, really good. Alright, guys, so you guys know the play for Nasdaq today. We went over during pre-market. So essentially, we're looking for longs in this area, 20,955, right? To 21,111. So we just wait for market open. Market open is in about 23 minutes, and once price comes into this area, then we can act. All right, then we can act. So we're looking at entries at roughly this area. Ideally 21,067. We do have fair value gaps over here as identified, and our stop loss would be just below this FEG. Yeah, that's the setup, guys. That is the setup. Do you guys have any other questions regarding the setup? Can we put buy limits? No, we always market execute. So always market execute. The thing is, the reason why we market execute is because we wait for confirmation on the lower time frame, right? So once we get our confirmation on the lower time frame, then we can execute. So the main thing is with our key areas, right? It's not necessarily this is the key area and this is where the only place to take a position, right? That's not necessarily the case. It's just the most optimal place based off our technical analysis, right? It's the most optimal place based off our technical analysis. But just because it has a lot of confluence doesn't necessarily mean that it's the only place where we can take a trade, and the certainty of that is dependent on the lower time frame. All right, so once price comes in, we switch to the 5. We look for confirmation on 5 purely through Japanese candlesticks. Then once we get our confirmation, awesome. Scary part is we still have a open gap from Monday open on both Nasdaq and USD. From Monday open, oh yeah, over here. This lovely imbalance. Yeah, so we have a huge gap over here. But to be honest, because what caused that gap, right? What caused that gap was the Chinese and United States trade updates, right? So because there's positive progress on tariffs, that's why price went to such a big bull run, right? So for me, unless something drastic happens in terms of further trades or anything else, we wouldn't necessarily dip below that imbalance. Ideally, we fulfill that imbalance because, you know, us as traders, that's what we look for, right? But often at times we've seen this happen so many times, especially with Nasdaq. All right, Nasdaq loves doing this, where it causes a huge imbalance because of something fundamental or whatever, and a lot of people have hopes to wait for that pullback to go long from here. All right. So for us, we would love a pullback over here, but we account for an earlier buy setup. This is set up with last day high / low. Yesterday low, yesterday high. Yes. Don't forget my DM. Got you, bro. Is the stream volume really soft for anyone else, or is it just me? I think there was a way to increase the volume. I'm just not too sure. But there's a way that you can increase the volume on your end. Or maybe just upload me to like a speaker, bro. We could do that. Right click on the face and make him 200%. Actual recording is higher. What do you mean? Okay. And the London Open was much louder. I probably had more energy. Yeah. I don't know. Everything's the same on my end. Do you mark up for our support and resistance? Yeah. So for me, I do like to use support and resistance as well. You're welcome to, when you do your own analysis, use 4-hour, 1-hour support resistance. But just in this situation, it's not necessarily that I don't do it, it's just like I haven't done it. But for me over here, like purely based off our setup, what we have, it's enough confluences. But I'm still long on DAX. How are you still long on DAX? Yeah, this was the DAX setup that we had. I see it recovered, but to be honest, bro, like I would have just cut my losses there. Or at least like exit at entry again. So once you at like break even, just exit your trade, because you don't want to hold on for dear life. Do you know what I'm saying? If you take an hour, take an hour. That's the one thing with the struggle with traders, right? If it's kind of like not accepting your stop loss, right? So if you're in a trade and you had a stop loss but now you removed it, why did you remove that stop loss? Do you know, why didn't you just take the loss? Is it in hopes that you don't lose that money, or hopes that you were actually correct? Well, you know, you weren't actually correct because your stop loss would have got taken out, right? So you were already incorrect to start off with. And if you kind of just like hoping for the best and using your capital to sustain you with that losing position, yeah, it's not gonna work. You know, it might work sometimes, but in terms of long term, it's definitely not gonna work. The thing is, I can relate though, because I've been there so many times. You know, where like I'll remove my stop loss and just hope for the best. And yes, sometimes I'll take a smaller loss, you know, but also some other times I'll take a bigger loss. So yeah, you kind of just have to weigh what's worth it for you or not. Just saw Nasdaq hit last week 2.618 reversal error like you predicted. Nice to see. Yeah, it's super nice to see, bro. Like, you know, it's even though if we're not in the position, right? It's still nice to see that your analysis played out. You were able to predict the direction of Nasdaq, right? And it obviously slaps even more once you're in the position. You know, that's obviously where we want to be. But yeah, you know, we found another key reversal area. Right now, you know, we said off the analysis that we would have possibly taken a short at the 2.618, but we needed stuff to essentially be connected, right? So, you know, us just taking shorts on the last week 2.618, how many reasons is that? You know, it's not enough. It's not enough. If it was kind of aligned with this 15-minute trend, then yeah, sure, you know, but it wouldn't necessarily be an A+ setup. What are the confidences again? Golden zone, 15-minute trend line. So our confidences in this area is, sorry, obviously our bias, right? So because of how the previous day closed, our golden zone, fair value gap, and 15-minute trend. And then also below over here, we have our 200-day moving average creeping up. So, with this kind of position, right, let's see how this would play out, okay? So, where is this one? Let me show you guys the scenarios, right? Because this is essentially everything that kind of runs through my head when I'm thinking about a potential play. Hydra, I'll send you the link in a bit, bro. I'll send you the link right after this, right? So now let's look at the setup that we would ideally like, right? New York Open, price comes down, right? Price comes down. Now, if it comes down to this point, all right, all we have is it barely scraping the surface with that fair value gap, right? This fair value gap over here is accumulated with these three bullish candles, all right? Not just one candle. It's because price was so incredibly bullish that we kind of just combined all these FVGs together, all right? Now, if price comes down, okay, to the fair value gap, all right, and this 15-minute trend, we have two reasons to enter, all right? We haven't tapped our golden zone, and also we haven't covered majority of the surface with the fair value gaps, okay? So scenario one, this could be enough for Nasdaq, all right? Not necessarily filling the fair value gaps. Go, yes, high, last week 1.6, yes, high, and probably something like this. Okay, so that could be scenario one. All right, I hope you guys are paying attention to this, okay? This could be scenario one with Nasdaq, okay? Now, what could happen with scenario two, all right, is same thing. Price will come down, further down, all right, into our golden zone and fulfill more of that fair value gap, which is ideally what we want, all right? It's ideally what we want. Now, the only thing is when we do take a long position over here, subject, all right, to us getting confirmation, okay, we must keep in mind we have traffic, all right? What is this traffic? The 15-minute trend, all right? So once we get to this area, we would most likely have to move SL to break even because price could come over here, and if our bias is incorrect, all right, something like this and like that. Oh, sorry. Yeah, fuck it. Let's just put it there. All right, so something like that, okay? Now, this is what will happen if we don't move SL to break even, all right? Again, this is scenario 2.A, all right? Scenario 2.A. So if we get in over here, which is ideally where we want to get in, okay, because we are covering more surface with the fair value gap, we are getting a third touch on this 15-minute trend, and price is touching our golden zone, all right? That would be perfect for us, but the moment price comes into this second 15-minute trend, we need to move SL to BE, okay? We need to move SL to BE. If we don't move SL to BE and our bias is incorrect, we could see this play out, all right? This would be the risk, and this is the risk that we obviously don't want to take, okay? So we would have to protect our entries earlier. So remember, this is scenario one, all right? Scenario two, I just explained if we don't move our SL to BE and our bias is incorrect, all right? Now, what would be scenario 2.B, all right? So this is the same setup, but instead of rejecting at the 15-minute trend, it continues up, all right? So same thing, price comes here, breaks through, fills more cover surface of that fair value gap, taps into our golden zone, all right? Breaks through trend, okay, breaks through trend, we get a retest, breaks through yes high, get a retest, and then something like this, all right? So that's scenario one, and that's scenario two, all right? Now let's look at scenario 1. If we get into scenario 1 with the same SL that we had, look how tight this is. All right, look how tight. We have a chance, even though our bias is incorrect. All right, so let's just say if we enter. Okay, I'll try to speak a little bit slower. Okay, I'm just getting a little bit excited. Okay, if we enter on scenario 1, okay, purely because we get confirmation, but let's just say it breaks that 15-minute trend. All right, we have a high chance of hitting our stop loss. But even though the trade might still play out. All right, so that's why it's so important to wait and get your confirmation that you need. All right, and the reason why I think it's important in this scenario is because if we wait even longer for a potential pullback into covering more surface of this FEG and our golden zone, all right, we could have a pretty safe entry, right? So if price breaks through our stop loss, we shouldn't see price recover and maintain bullish, right? We should see it tap into yes low or last week 1.618. All right, so that's why I'm hoping for us to get into this area and aim for a trade something like this, all right, which is quite a nice setup. Okay, it's quite a nice setup. So Liam asked for Hydra. Hydra, let me get you the link. I think it's hydrafunding.io. Let me just confirm. Oh, so it's this one. So you just go over here and then check crypto prop firm. Their spreads are quite nice. So I'll just copy this part. So yeah, that's one prop firm that I use for crypto. You can essentially use any prop firm that you want, right? But the thing is, when you go to more forex focused prop firms, the spread is typically a lot bigger, right? Than crypto, like designated crypto accounts. Neom AAA is also a really good prop company. Only 6% needed to pass each phase, and can trade news with them. I trade with them currently. 6%, is that a 2-phase, right? And what's max drawdown on that? Alright guys, 5 more minutes until market open. In terms of actually entering the trade, what would be the trigger to hit the button for that sniper entry? Is it 1 touch on the entry zone, 2 touches? What would it be? So every trade is different, right? Why is it different? Because depending on what's presented, you would everything you have to trade a different kind of way, right? So if it's like a trend line, depends how many touches came into play. Did it close above? Did it close below? But in terms of that trigger point, I enter based off Japanese candlesticks, but prematurely. All right, so once a Japanese candlestick forms, I enter on it prematurely. So our key setup here, right, is longs with Nasdaq, right? But what we could also potentially look at is at market open, we could potentially also look for something like this: break on the 5-minute trend, break retest, stop loss at last week 1.618, and then aiming for to be safe like this. All right, we could aim for something like that. So break, retest. We could aim for shorts on Nasdaq and then look for longs. And I explained this the other day. It's kind of like trading into your zone, right? Trade into your zone, which is maybe something that we could look at today. We could maybe grab 2 trades on Nasdaq. So what I'm actually going to do, guys, depending on how the market opens in the next 3 minutes, right, I might take a short position on Nasdaq, either at the top of this 5-minute trend or a break below and retest. Okay, break below and retest. I'm personally going to be risking 0.5% on the sell, all right, and then 0.5% on the buy. Okay. Reason being is because I took a 1% loss on DAX today in the morning. So because I already took a 1% loss, I don't necessarily go 1-1. Okay. Don't know if you're talking, but I think I lost you. Can everybody else hear me? Can you guys hear me? Rejoin. Yes. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, so let me just say leave and rejoin. Okay, awesome. So because of that trade out DAX, I'm gonna decrease my risk to 0.5%. All right. So if we get a break on this 5-minute trend, we would aim for either the trend or the golden zone. All right, and SR would be at the 2.618, just slightly above. All right, or even if we get a run up over here, which would be third touch, and then same SR slightly above, probably at 345, and then TP would be between something like that. All right, so I'll let you guys know once I enter, but for now we just wait for confirmation. So here we go, market open. All right, so we got that retest on yes high. So guys, just remember that we are doing 0.5%. All right, well, I am doing 0.5%. Nice rejection at yes high so far on the 1 minute. And here we go. Looks good. Come on, Nasdaq. There we go, touch on the trend. Let's see if we can get a bearish closure. Now remember guys, if the candle closes above this 5-minute trend, alright, closes above this 5-minute trend, and especially retests and continues, then obviously our shorts in this area is invalid. Alright, our shorts in that area would be invalid. But if we get a closure below this 5-minute trend, alright, this descending trend, and even better, a closure below and a bearish candle, we could possibly look for a short entry there. Alright, so that I won't necessarily count because it's on the 1-minute time frame. I do it on 5. Alright, so we still have roughly 1 minute and 40 seconds. One minute left. So guys, remember, right? If this 5-minute closes above this 5-minute trend, if this 5-minute candlestick closes above this 5-minute trend, and retests, all right, and continues going up, obviously that invalidates our shorts, right? But if it goes back into that descending 5-minute trend, all right, closes bearish, we're still in the game for shorts, all right? But for now, definitely not. Looks like price is heading to the 2.618 zone, and this area here, although it's a key reversal area, right, I wouldn't take shorts just purely off of this, all right? Why wouldn't I take shorts? Because for me, because we have such a, I think, what time frame is that trend? Oh, so we have a 15-minute trend over here, all right? For me, it's just like if price surpasses that 2.618 zone, all right, we still have a while until where it could go up, right? So our stop loss would have to be way too massive. All right, so price just hit last week's 2.618 zone. Also closed bullish above this 5-minute descending trend, right? So shorts we won't consider right now. Okay, if it enters this descending trend again, then we can consider shorts. But for now, definitely not considering shorts. Yeah, they are blue light glasses. I got them from SA, so this is a company. It's pretty cool. They're really cheap as well, but they're really nice. So Geno Logics, I think it's like $12 maybe. It's the full TP glasses. Lovely rejection at last week's 2.618 zone. All right, but guys, it's just not enough. It's just not enough reason to enter a short position. So again, we're waiting for that 5-minute trend retest. I wouldn't take longs off that retest, right? But ideally, we get that retest prior to price continuing or entering the 5-minute trend again. Alright guys, so remember what we discussed about the FEGs. Boom. Alright, so 5-minute FEG. We know where price needs to go. It's kind of aligned with the descending 5-minute trend. So we could definitely see a price bounce back up from this area. But for us, longs, we are eyeing roughly 20,050. All right, that's our ideal entry. So until then, we just wait. We just wait for a promising trade setup, and then once it's presented, we let it play out. Hello everybody, how are you, Jamie? Are you aiming for short here? What's up, Dennis? So our main trade is longs on Nasdaq. We do have a potential short opportunity, but right now it's invalid, right? We need price to kind of tap into this descending 5-minute trend again. If it does, then we could potentially look for shorts, right? But at this current moment, nothing. This would have been a great reversal, right? And that's why we label our our 1.618 and our 2.618 Fibonacci levels, right? Purely because of reasons like this. And remember, we identified this reversal area because we had our last week data, right? Because we kept our last week data, that's why we managed to call that move. But in terms of confidence to enter, it wasn't enough for me. All right, so we tapped into that 5-minute descending trend, all right, and also that potential fair value gap that we identified. So if price continues pushing down, we can maybe look for short entry. Yeah, I agree with you, Dennis. I 100% agree with you. I took a TP with the long, caught the bounce from the support. Nice, bro. Very, very nice. 'It all makes great sense what you do. I have similar setup, just not so experienced like you know clear about Japanese candles. Um, I'm glad it makes sense to you, bro. That's obviously the goal, you know. But your understanding with Japanese candlesticks will come the more you trade. The more you actually actively look out for them, it'll be easier to see them. The red candle must close below the 50%. For shorts, yes. So if this candle closes below 50, also below this 5 minute trend, I would probably take a position and have my stop loss at the high. Something like that. All right, so this is exactly what I talked about, okay? Is this a retest? All right, is this a retest on the 5 minute trend, or are we breaking into the 5 minute trend again? All right, so if the candle closes in 20 seconds below this 5 minute trend, all right, the 5 minute trend, descending trend is essentially back into play. All right, back into play, then we wait for a bounce on the top, and then we go short. Again, I'm only risking 0.5% on this trade, right? So here we go, closed. That's what we wanted, right? Now, because we fulfilled that zone, we just need to identify this. 2.618, guys. Literally. 2.618. Absolutely crazy. SL size. It just depends where we enter because we need the stop loss to be above last week's high. I mean, last week 2.618. So it just depends where we get our entry. If we get our entry at the retest of this trend, we're probably looking at 332, like 60 points, 600 pips. I took short and got TP. Damn, Dennis. You all over it, bro. Jeez, like. Alright, now let's have a look at what the 15 minute is doing, right? Because it looks like we might be going short on this. Strong support. All right, so we got that break on the trend. How many more minutes? 2 more minutes. Crazy. Absolutely crazy move, guys. Absolutely crazy move. Retest for entry, or is everyone already in? No, I'm not in, Coffee Noob. Definitely not in. We didn't get a closure on the 5 minute yet, so there's no real retest. The only possible place that I would look to enter is above here, but we still have. Okay, so we did close below. Let's see how this plays out. Kind of just dipped instantly. I would have liked a. So we have this over here, this gram box, and then also that. So that's actually perfect. That would have been a good short. What the fuck is the price action? Come on, Nasdaq. I'm looking to go short, guys. I'm just waiting for a slight pullback. Either this 5 minute trend or the 50-day moving average on the 5 minute time frame. We could possibly wait for the 15-minute candle to close as well, but it's still another 9 minutes. Well, let's see how it plays out. The course on the system is in the making, yes. Only have a couple modules left and it's done. Very close. We get access? Yeah, you guys do. Alright, so that is the retest we needed. Let's just see. We might be able to get higher up. That's a retest on the 50-day moving average. Ideally we get a retest here. Let's just see. Okay guys, I'm going short over here. So I'm short on Nasdaq. I entered at 21,240. So here, and then stop loss needs to be just slightly above, so 21,332. All right, so that's stop loss. First TP, we're aiming for this. Second TP, obviously further down, right? So we in on shorts on Nasdaq. Let me label the SL and TPs for you guys on the chart. So SL is 21,332. All right, so essentially just slightly higher than the current day high, right? TP1 21. TP2, we're looking at 53. So just say 21,050. All right. So I'll copy this. That's my entries if you guys are interested in the trade. But yeah, right now we're in. And regards to SL2BE, right? So 21,050. Alright, so I'll consider moving SL2BE at this price point over here. I'll draw it for you guys now. Alright guys, just like that. And then SL is 21,333. No, sorry, 21,332. So again, guys, this wasn't our main trade idea, right? Our main trade idea is longs, but there's a good opportunity to short to our key position, all right? Would have been amazing to take a short over here, I'm not gonna lie. All right, I obviously in my head right now, in terms of emotions, okay, I'll be transparent with you guys, okay? I wish I took, and I wish I told you guys to take a trade over here, right, at 2.618. I really, really do, okay? But if I did take that trade, it wouldn't necessarily be part of my system, right? We have a reason why we could have taken shorts there, but it's not enough confluence, and that breaks my rules, right? And because it breaks my rules, I can't do it. Maybe one day I'll be like, okay, today I might break my rules a little bit, then I'll do it, okay? But you don't want to base your trading style off rule breaking, okay? It's not a good way to go. Do you take partials at TP1 and let the balance run? Yeah, I usually do. So I either close fully at TP1, or if I have two TPs, I close 50% of my position, then I let the other run. Once we break TP1, I'll probably trail my stop loss to this point over here, right? That's what I would typically do. Like if you in such deep profits, you shouldn't necessarily just be like, okay, price came back to break even, I'll just take 0 or like $1. You know, if you're in good profits, take some money off the table, and make sure that it's risk free. You know, lots of times that's the thing with trading. You like things are also sometimes out of your control and unpredictable, right? If you just constantly free ball it, right, you're gonna get free ball results. You know. So we're on the 5 minute. Let's look exactly what's cooking on the 15. Alright, so we're still waiting for this candle closure in 2 minutes. It looks good. Price is playing below the 50-day moving average. It's playing below that 5 minute trend. So we might get a retest on that trend. Alright, we might get a retest on that trend, and then hopefully a continuation to the downside. I set a limit order at, and I'm a long way in front, so thinking of closing. Oh shit, Sulo! Damn, bro, you got the magical entry. Very nice. Yeah, I would close for sure, like a portion of it, and then let the rest run to either our TP1 or TP2. But yeah, that's really good, bro. Come on, Nasdaq, don't play dirty. Don't play dirty. Oh yeah. Um, SL? Dennis, what? How? How did you hit SL? Getting here late. Are you guys in? Yes, we are in, bro. Appreciate you, Sulo. Had a smaller SL. Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, so my SL is 21,332. So basically just the peak of where price went. Did you get in here what it is now? Yeah, I got in right here. This is my exact entry point, 21,240. We could potentially see price coming over here, because remember, we had that imbalance, right? So we could possibly see price coming over here. But if it doesn't, that's 100% fine, because with our long trades later on, we could be set. Alright, guys, I have 30 minutes left. In 30 minutes, I have to head over for a meeting. So let's just hope we can at least get our trade to break even by that point, right? If not TP1. But just letting you know, in, well, not 30 minutes, 28 minutes, I have to bounce. Because my SL was the same like your number wise. Yes, but it looks the same with futures. Yeah, so with futures, right? If you have like a slightly different price, um, just use the candlesticks for reference then. So, like I said, the current day high, your stop loss would be literally slightly above, by like half a pip. Um, that's the reason why we have our stop loss over there. It's just the current day high, and because we already had rejection at the 2.618 zone. So if it retests for the second time, price would most likely continue heading to the upside. Yeah, this is mine. Okay, yeah, geez. Yeah, that's completely different. I think next time, if you do want to like have the exact same entry and trade setup as me, maybe just like visually um, have your stop loss at the same point, instead of the numeric digit. Yeah, follow the candles, not the numbers. Yeah, unfortunately, that's the way you would have to go if you trade futures. Do you guys prefer the candle? I mean, not the candle, the camera like on the side, or do you think like in straight ahead would be better? I think this looks cooler, right? It's more like POV. In front, bro. Oh, you want it in front? I see you can only do a select few cryptos on Hydra. Yeah, it's only a select few. I think they have like photo crypto coins. I like the angle. I like this angle. Oh, yeah, I think this angle is pretty dope. Ah, shucks. Angle better. No homo. Played it safe, bro. You trying to just show us the jawline, bro. We know. This isn't even my final form, bro. I'm peaking at 92 kgs. Like, come on, don't let me get my gum out. You know, the moment that gum comes out, what do they call it? Mewing or something. 92 small man over here, bro. I'm so like, yo, I'm so thick. Your man's thick right now, like proper thick. Fuck. You know, Bitcoin isn't the only thing at all-time highs. Type shit. I'll fall through my pop ball if I was 92. How much do you weigh, bro? Fuck. Ach, I hope you don't consolidate here. Yeah, I also hope not, bro. Consolidating is literally like, I don't. You don't call it consolidating. You just call it blue balls. Like it just teases you. Goes up and down in no direction. It's literally blue balls. I'm like 97ish, but I'm lean at the moment. Need to put some weight on. Fuck, 97 lean. Oh, I'm 6'3" though. Trend below. What? Trend. Come on now. 97. Puskeen. Oh, that's huge, bro. Oh, Nasdaq, what are you doing? Just waiting for my baby's law, then going balls to the wall. Nice. 100%, bro. Me too. Alright, so we tapped into that fair value gap, which is what we ideally wanted, but we wanted it before we got into a position, but it's okay. We still have a little bit of room to play around, but the way price is moving, to be honest, I'm still in favor with my shorts, right? Still in favor. closed out the other 50%. Damn, nice, bro. Fire. Nice trade, thank you. I don't want to say pleasure because, like, I'm still in drawdown, but I'm glad you made cash. That's great. I'll say pleasure if I hit TP, but right now, yeah. But yeah, guys, so far, like, although we're in drawdown, again, I'm still confident in the setup. Reason being why, because we had our fair value gap over here, which we wanted price to tap in, right? Tapped into it, which is fine. If we get a candle closure above this descending 5-minute trend, all right, and price trading above that FEG, then I'd be like, hey, most likely SL is going to get tapped, okay? But for now, we still have an opportunity for price to go to the downside. Catch up tomorrow. Cheers, Sulo. Have a good day, bro. Alright, so let's try to see if we can get some movement. Again, I have to bounce in 20 minutes. Had you not been in the short trade, would the break and retest at the zone been a decent long? Break and retest on the zone. I personally wouldn't be taking longs in this position over here, just because, like, all right, if we look further down, we have this huge imbalance, right? But it's very optimistic that price is going to come and fulfill that today. All right, very, very optimistic. So our setup here, it's still realistic, right? It's not too far away from where price is currently at. If I had to take longs over here, it's essentially like buying at the top. All right, it's essentially like buying at the top, and for me that would just be a little bit too risky because, in terms of stop loss, we would have to have quite a drastic one, but purely based off our technical analysis, So a long position, what do you say? Not being a short, would you break and retest at the zone being a decent long? Yeah, I wouldn't have done that. If I wasn't in the short at this position over here, I would have taken a short on this FEG. Cover the gap will be nice. Yeah, the gap would be so sick. Nasdaq's really taking us for a ride here. It doesn't want to make up its mind. Bro, where do you want to go? You keep on testing the same zone. Like, pick a direction, you know? Why are you playing ping pong with yourself? Just dip. Go to a different price point. Magnet emojis. No, that's trademarked by the Loot Boys. Um, that's trademarked. I wish I could hear you. I'll show you guys what I usually do. So, I usually have my bowl of rice. Alright. Have your bowl of rice, and then the chopsticks. Alright. So, where price is at, you just put the chopsticks there, and chopsticks will kind of scare it away, you know. Right now it's collecting, but we want it to go to the rice. You know, the goal of this jasmine rice, you know it, bro. Only jasmine rice. The goal is as it goes down, you trail your chopsticks down with it, and then when you hit TP, you get some rice. You know, everybody wants rice, bro. So right now, you got your chopsticks. Make them a little bit bigger. Got your rice. It's only a small bar of rice because it's a 0.5%. Alright. And on your stop loss, alright. What do you guys think this is? Alright. What do you guys think this is? Like, clearly it's something, but like, be a little bit specific. Don't say it's a dude. You know? A man's kaput. Your angry dad. Exactly. A scary Asian dad. We don't want it to go over there. Because he will shout at you. So right now, the goal, just get your chopsticks. Say, I told you to go to college and be a doctor. There you go. Don't shout at me. Come on, this 100% has to play out now. Are you in a trade? Yeah, I am. I'm in shorts. You guys can see my position over here. 21,240. Right now we're in some drawdown. You know, maybe we have it wrong. Would you buy back in at a better price? Ian, I would only buy. I have my buy set up over here, right? So initially my bias was longs, okay, but only at this area. I wouldn't necessarily want to go long, where price is at now. Childhood trauma. Trading against the trend is always more risky. Yeah, for sure. I think if price doesn't break this trend here now, I think the secret is switching the rice with the chopsticks. All right, maybe it's the wrong formula. Sorry, I didn't mean long. I mean another short at a better price. So that would be a completely different analysis, right? Because if you have to think at what the current chart is giving us, okay, where would we go short? We had two possible places to go short. Would be the break of this 5-minute trend, a continuation below this 5-minute trend, right? But higher up, yes, we could have taken a short at the last week 2.618 zone. All right, but for me, that just wasn't enough reasons to enter trade. Furthermore, the only place to enter um, after that, I would probably need to work on the next day, have maybe my fib levels, maybe we can maybe see like something like this that's forming, just something like that. This obviously isn't valid, but I'm just saying an example. So shorting at a better price. Firstly, there's no other setup that I have that I could justify another short. And secondly, it's not really a healthy trait, right? You jump back in after you lose a trade. The moment you lose a trade, just accept it and move on. Um, so yeah. Um, so for the long, you looking for moving toward the massive fair value gap below, then tapping GZ, then reversing. Yes, exactly. So we obviously have our 15-minute trends, a huge fair value gap based off these three bullish candles, and our golden zone. So that's purely why we would enter long positions, or why I would look for longs. I'm curious to see how you place the fibs. Bro, then every single video I place the fibs. Like every single video. If you want to watch in detail, I would recommend watching the very first video that I did in the live markup recordings, because in that video I went really, really in detail. Yo, what's up, Daniel? Yes, we are in a trade. But Dennis, I usually go over the fibs like every single day. But in particular, that first video, I go super in detail. Yeah, in the course as well. But the thing is, like the course, like I said, is going to be like 6-7 days still until it's done. I think a lot of you guys that are here now, you kind of like, I want to learn it now, right? And maybe the live streams isn't enough. 8 minutes. Lemon, I appreciate you, bro. Or girl, but I appreciate. Thanks so much for reminding me. Yeah, so I have 8 minutes left and then I have to jump to a meeting. But what I would do, okay, guys, if I do have to leave the stream, all right, keep this maintain this trade, all right. I'm going to keep on holding this trade. Obviously, stop loss is set, TP is set, but the only thing that you guys have to do is manage it. All right, manage it. So when price comes into this area over here, all right, which is essentially 21,174. All right, once it comes into that area, you just move your SL to BE. All right. Yeah, and if you're trading futures, just look at again the candles. All right, look at the candles for reference. Would you ever take half off in your SR? Like, would you, like you would if you were in? Oh, okay. So, no, not necessarily, because it depends on the situation, right? It's all subjective to what's happening. But if let's just say there's a lot of signs that price is going to go against me, all right? Like a lot of signs. I got in, I maybe got into early. Now there's a lot of signs that price is going to continue going against me. Then I would either look to exit earlier, all right, or take some risk off the table. But the thing is, the reason why I entered that trade, all right, already based on my analysis, and look, you can't be right every single time, okay? It's impossible to be right every single time. But if you have a decision, all right, based off your trade idea, obviously there's a lot of evidence, there's a lot of thought that went into it, right? And you determine what you want to risk, how much you want to risk on this trade, because of your technical analysis and your bias, right? And you know that, okay, if your stop loss is at that point, you should be willing to essentially let it play out, I'm not saying that you have to always take the losses that you chose for yourself. If you can exit earlier, for sure, right? Only if you have solid evidence that is going to keep on going against you. Because then instead of losing 1%, you can maybe lose 0.5 or 0.6, right? But I think the best thing is you have to back yourself with your trades, right? Because I can see a ripple of worse situations that can happen if you constantly like take less risk off the table, or you adjust your stop loss or whatever, because that's you not backing yourself, you're not backing your trade, and then that could lead to more issues later on down the line, you know. So the best thing is, before, like what I told you guys, right? Before I even decided that I'm going to enter particularly this short trade, right? I said I'm risking 0.5% and that's it, right? 0.5% and then 0.5% on the long. Reason being is because of the London session trade, right? I could have been like, oh, I'm so confident in this trade, I'm going to risk 1 or 2% just so that I can recoup my profits. But it's not necessarily like that, right? The reason why I risk 0.5% is because my overall bias is long for Nasdaq, right? So me shorting isn't necessarily the best of ideas, okay, because my bias is long. But I have a relatively good setup why I could short to my target area, okay? But because I still have another trade locked and loaded, I can't go 0.5% and then 1 or 2% there afterwards, because then I'm just over risking, right? It's only Wednesday, I still have Thursday and Friday to trade, right? I'm over risking. So I was like, awesome. I have potentially 2 trades that I can take today for New York session, subject to it coming to my zones. I'm going to go 0.5, 0.5. Do you know? Well, before you fall call, thank you, brother. Have a blessed one. Sweet, no stress, bro. No stress at all. Yeah, I got roughly like 2 more minutes. But again, guys, I'm personally holding my trade, right? I will set a alert over here. I'll set an alert. And then if price comes over here, then I'll notify you guys on the Discord. Just depends what time I finish my meeting. And then also another alert at SL. Would you enter this trade again now? I mean, not necessarily, because there's too much, like how price is moving at the moment. It's very indecisive, and I think if I had to say yes, you would enter again now, Dennis. But I think, to be honest, bro, like especially with the trade that you took now, even though it's a small loss, rather stay out. Don't chase it, right? We still have a potentially another trade set up later on, with Nasdaq for long. So rather just like sit back, let it do its thing. Don't chase the market. If you chase the market, like if I had to say yes, you can get in. Every single time that opportunity comes, you're gonna, it's gonna overtrade. So yeah, rather just sit on the sidelines for this one. I would recommend. All right, guys, I gotta bounce. I just gotta prepare for the meeting. I will update on the Discord. If you guys are in the trade, and obviously if it hits the zone to move BE, stop loss or TP, just type it on the open chat or something. Just let people know, let me know. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow for the pre-market. All right, cheers, guys. Have a good one.